Hi folks, we are now at Coatsworth Garden and with the gardener Greg here. And before we enter the garden, Greg mentioned to me, if you come here for the Garden of Buffalo or maybe for the open garden, this is the official start point of the official rules. So enter through the arbor with the heart, and so let's join our walk with Greg.
Come on through.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say this is a garden with a plethora of different things, not only in plants, trees. There are many garden arts and very interesting objects. But before we get into all that, I want to ask you, what is the story behind the name of your garden, Coatsworth?
Yeah, Coatsworth Gardens. So William Coatsworth was the original owner and builder of this house. He built it in 1905.
1905.
So I thought that was the perfect name for a guy that build an English Tudor, which our house is. So we decided to name the garden after him. So it's
I
Coatsworth
agree.
Gardens.
Yeah, it's a very meaningful name. And so the garden goes all the way around the house, and you don't have any lawn at all.
Got rid of all the lawn when we bought the house. That was
Yeah.
my first goal. I didn't want to own a lawnmower anymore.
Yeah.
So we took out all the
Let's take a
grass.
look at a new addition to the sign collection here. You have so many signs, you already lost count, right? Yeah, just as the number of trees and plants, you have lost counts. Yeah, yeah. So this is so we're at Coatsworth Garden. It's in the city of Buffalo, in the Elmwood Village area, and Judy and Greg's garden has been a part of the Open Gardens for a few years, as well as Garden of Buffalo.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's.
Yeah, if you'll note over here, we are a certified wildlife habit, totally organic garden. We use no chemicals, no herbicides or pesticides. Everything is purely organic. We also got these cute little mushrooms from the Buffalo Garden Arts Sale.
Yeah.
It was held at the
Wonderful.
Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, so the Garden Arts Sale is an event by Gardens Buffalo Niagara, usually at the end of June, and usually at the ground of the Botanical Garden. And let's take a look. This is your shade garden, right? You say it's your
So we've got this huge ancient Japanese maple overhead, plus a huge magnolia tree next to it to provide quite a bit of shade back in this part of the garden.
yeah.
So because of the shade, I elected to plant a lot of plants with gold or chartreuse foliage to kind of brighten it up in the dark.
It's stunning. Yeah.
So lots of different hostas, actually some tropical house plants that had gold foliage, and some coral bells. Sun King Aurelia has some nice chartreuse color. And then we have this gazebo.
Yeah,
nice
show us
place
the
to
new thing that you are trying. It's still in the process, but
Yeah, so my wife and I were in Quebec a couple weeks ago, and we had dinner at a nice restaurant, and they had an outdoor gazebo, something like this, and we noted that they had branches overhead in the ceiling of the gazebo, and they were wrapped in those teeny tiny solar lights on the wire. So I just started working on that this morning when Jay came over.
Right.
We'll have the
Yeah.
branches and this will
Yeah.
be lit up. It's really magical at night. We've got string lights overhead. Show you over here.
So Greg's garden is actually at the corner of two very busy streets, and you have mentioned it has become more like a public garden. So you mentioned this is your favorite spot. In the evening, you have the fire pit going, and you have people join you
Yes.
uninvited,
Yeah,
but you always welcome them.
Everybody's always welcome. I've made lots of friends by people just coming back to see what was going on back here. A lot of people actually think it's a public garden, think it's part of the Buffalo Seminary School. It's across the street.
Yeah.
So they kind of just wander back, and
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me at all. I like
Yeah,
meeting
and
new people.
so you moved in this house from the suburb 6 years
5 years ago.
5 years ago, and you loved this
Yeah,
area.
Elmwood Village is just wonderful to live at. We're at the corner of the Bidwell Parkway, and we have the Tuesday concerts there all during the summer, the farmers market. It's just a really nice location in the city.
Yeah. And so we have a very beautiful pond, and you have so many objects adorning the pond. We have the flying frog, Here, let me
yes,
try
we've
to.
got some flying frog on disco balls. Of course, every garden needs some disco balls. Flying pig. I've got a flying dragon over in the far area there.
And the frog
My
statuary.
frog, that's Chester P. Mulligan, the frog statue.
Uh-huh.
And yeah,
Just
got
beautiful.
fish in the pond.
Yeah,
Get some frogs usually.
that's what's.
Uh-huh. Many evenings,
Yeah.
with music on.
So have you burned James Poe?
I have not burned James Poe's yet.
Yes.
They're always there ready for me to go.
Okay.
If I run out of firewood, so keep me stopped.
Okay.
Run over any dead wood.
Yeah. And I want to show you this very special thing. This is a tree stump. 1 second, let me try to focus here. This is a tree stump that you repurposed into a planter, which you had
There's
hibiscus.
There's a hibiscus. There's a Rose of Sharon, and then a hydrangea.
Hydrangea.
Hydrangea
Oh yeah.
incredible
Wow.
growing in there. And this wasn't actually here. I actually found this growing up against somebody else doing some work for them, and their property backed up to the properties behind them garage, and this was just tight up against the garage, so I just cut it off at its base and brought it here.
So
I think it makes a nice little focus.
yeah, so I'm sure many people would consider a stump as yard waste,
Yes.
but you can repurpose this
Yeah.
and make your garden even more charming.
Yeah,
This
it's
just really add character to your garden.
It's interesting. I texted the woman I was doing the work for and said, "Hey, can I have this stump?" And she said, "Why would you want it?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Just wait." And then she was walking by
Okay,
a couple days
yeah.
later, and she said,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
was going to
now I
ask.
see."
Yeah, I was going to guess if she asked how much should I pay you to move the stump.
Basically, she did. I was doing work for her, cleaning up the yard, and that was part of it.
Yeah. So take a look at the signs and the garden. This is a solitary bee house, right?
We had lots of bees nesting in there.
Yeah, and the flying dragon. Just 1 second. The flying dragon. So even though this is not a small garden by any definition, but you have already run out of a space.
I'm running out of space.
So now you are doing things using the
going up.
vertical space.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you run out of ground level space, you go up, and so we've
Yeah.
been putting more and more things up.
Yeah. So that's okay.
Keep that out of the shade.
Yeah. So this is a particularly beautiful vineyard. We have this winding gravel path with, I would say mixed border with evergreen, perennial, and some shrub and trees and garden arts fountains on both sides of this gravel path. So whenever you walk by, not only you have this visual pleasure of everything surrounding you, you have the soothing sound of the crushing gravel sound. That's just another good point. Not only it's aesthetically pleasing, it provides another sensory experience. It also help the water to penetrate the ground, so the water does not just run off. It stay in your garden, and your plants will be more happy. And you have more than a few birdhouse here, right?
Yeah, we actually had a family of birds raise their young in one of the birdhouses this year.
Yeah, lovely. And for architecture fans, you want to visit this garden too, because it's a very beautiful house. So you mentioned the style of the house is
It's an English Tudor,
English
built
Tudor
in
style.
1905.
It's a magnificent structure. Now we're actually exiting the yard, but still we're in the garden. So we are now taking a look at the magnificent garden surrounding the sidewalk. Let's start from this side. This is the far end of the garden. We have the lily, which is very fragrant. This is an area of hosta garden. And let's take a look at the garden sign garden pole. That is your standby firewood. Right?
Jim Charlier, the artist, has created these holes for a lot of us gardeners.
Yeah, so we always have some standby firewood when we really need it. Yeah, it's beautiful, and it is so striking at the corner of this intersection. And
choose plants that pick up the colors.
mhm. Yeah. Let's take a look at this sidewalk. This is just spectacular. We have the Lucifer plant, and you have, that's a dogwood, right?
Actually, that's a Seven Suns flower.
Oh, okay.
Flower tree.
Yeah, that's something new to me. So
Yeah,
I
that
don't.
one-
So I do not know everything.
Yeah, one of the rare flowering trees that actually blooms in the fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be blooming in a
That's
couple of weeks.
wonderful. And we also have topiaries, evergreen clipping to this very, very neat, very beautiful shape. And actually, as Greg told me, a lot of the things are self-seeded. And for example, this is a bellflower you mentioned, right?
Yes, bellflower campanula, and it spreads on its own, and we have cone flowers, as everyone knows, so spread very nicely.
Yeah. So this started as a small clump from a
Tiny
friend.
little plant. Yeah.
Now it has been very happy.
It could take over the whole garden if I let it, but I have to edit it.
And on both sides of your metal fence, you have very deep border. Just the entire yard is a very expansive garden.
Yeah, when
And-
we bought the house, there was a 8 foot tall by 6 foot wide privet hedge.
Oh,
It covered this
okay.
entire thing, so you couldn't even see the house. And from the house, we couldn't see the park across the street. So I wanted to remove that right away. And coincidentally, if you show this picture, Jay, that I have hanging on this tree here, I don't know if they'll be able to see it. That photo was taken in 1910, and you'll see there's a little black wrought iron fence there, and that was still buried in that hedge, totally rusted out. And so I restored that, removed the hedge, and it gave us this beautiful place to plant. all
Yeah,
this.
and you placed more than a few benches in this area, and
we love
your
when
neighbor and passerby, they just, I mean, they spontaneously sit down and enjoy the garden,
Yeah,
which
we
brings you
love seeing
joy.
people sitting out
Yeah.
here and
Yeah.
talking, and just enjoying
And
the sights and smells.
I know you have been a very busy guy. Not only you have to attend to your massive garden, you have to maintain your muscle, and you are also volunteering with the tree pit program.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm
tell us-
I'm on the Elmwood Village Association Board of Directors. I'm the lead for what we call the Street Aesthetics team. So we're responsible for the hanging baskets and the planters and just the way Elmwood looks in general.
Yeah.
So this year we undertook a program to fill all the tree pits, you know, those spaces between the street and the sidewalk that the trees are planted in.
Yeah.
There's 355 of them on Elmwood.
Right.
We're filling all those with perennials so we don't have weeds, we won't have to mulch so much anymore.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of volunteers working with me since early May, and we're almost done. We've planted about probably 10,000 perennials.
10,000. That's a very impressive number.
it's
And
adding
many of those plants are from donation.
Yes.
I mean, in the form of plants. People divide their plant and
Right.
they just drop off or give it to you.
Yeah, word
Yeah.
got out that we were doing it, and plants just show up in my driveway, or
Show
people
up in your
text-
driveway.
People text me and say, "Hey, I'm dividing hostas today. You want our extras?" And so yeah, we've got a lot, and then we have tons I can get from my own
Yeah.
garden and
Yeah.
some of my
So,
volunteers'
folks, if you want to extend your garden to the Elmwood Avenue, be part of the tree pit program. If you want to share your plants when you are dividing it, let Greg know.
Yeah,
And,
we'll take any plant we can get. We'll give it a new home where it'll be appreciated by everybody walking down Elm.
Yeah, this is such a great volunteerism thing. Yeah, it's just lovely. Yeah. Let's walk through the garden, and this is just a massive mixed border surrounding the sidewalk on both sides of the house, and it's just unbelievably beautiful. And the Cleome self-seeded. So not only they are in the bed, they are also appearing, growing from the crack between the asphalt and the curb. Yeah.
I figure if a plant just tough enough to do that, I gotta let him do his thing.
Yeah. and you have roses and hydrangea and everything really. And the people, a lot of people may know or think you have an ocean of tulip in this area.
Yes. Yeah. In the springtime, we've got
In spring.
about almost 12,000 tulips.
12,000.
Tulips and daffodils that bloom in the springtime.
So that's
throughout
one
all
of the
year.
joy that if you live in the suburb, you probably cannot enjoy.
Right,
And the
yes.
rabbit and deer will not let you have the tulip.
Yeah, we spent 25 years in East Amherst, and I could not grow a tulip because the deer would eat them. But so it's great to be able to do it.
But the
here.
thing I want to say is, it's hard for me, even I'm seeing this in person, it's hard for me to imagine this whole bed was filled with 12,000 tulip. I mean, maybe just 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Now
it's amazing how fast the perennials take over once the tulips are
yeah,
done.
I mean the perennial here are size of a small shrub. So it's really hard for me to imagine this was like an open area for thousands of tulips.
Yeah.
But I have seen the photo. I have been here in the spring, and the transformation is just incredible.
Nature's pretty amazing.
Yes. And so whenever you are in this area, you can walk through. You don't have to come during the open garden or garden walk Buffalo. But if you want to take a look at all the wonderful things, the pond and the garden arts, or have a conversation with Greg, you have to come to see this garden in person to experience the the dimension of planting. I mean, not just the size, I mean the dimension, it's just incredible. And and you have some pretty unusual tree I want to give people a look. Those are the weeping beech,
Purple fountain beech.
purple fountain.
He's growing perfectly in front of the
Chimney,
just the way I wanted him to sit on the central leader in front of the chimney.
Yeah. If you love architecture, if you love garden arts, if you love specimen tree, you can all find so much joy and enjoyment by visiting Judy and Greg's garden, the Coatsworth Garden. Well, thank you again, Greg, for sharing your garden
Well, thank
with
you.
us.
Thanks
and
for
thank
coming.
you for all the volunteer work. Yeah.
Well, my
Yeah.
pleasure.
I
My
keep you
pleasure.
busy and out of trouble.
Out of trouble for the most part, yes. I pretty much don't have time to get in trouble anymore.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you.